4, 3.
Hello everyone, this is the Here We Go Brownie Show live from Canton tonight, where we are doing the National High School alumni that are being inducted this weekend, and what a great time to be here. Bob, what's it feel like to be finally inducted? We all know this is for, what you did in high school and your philanthropic after high school, but how does it feel to be in Ohio, living in Ohio, first and foremost, and to be able to be honored in this second class?
Well, first, I'm being called Sir a lot, which could be the color of my hair, or they just think it's cool, and it's something. It's really something else. I didn't even know it existed, and they just started it up last 2 years ago. Last year, and they had a 2023 class, and when I found out about it and saw some of the guys, you always look at the college Hall of Fame, and you go, wow, there's some great guys, but you never look back towards high school. How many of the guys do you know were going to be good before they even went to college? And the fact that they've been able to find it is kind of cool. It makes it a lot of fun.
Well, I was going to say, Bernie Kosar and Kevin Mack were in that first class. You might know those guys.
I've heard of them.
You might have hung out with them a little bit. For the folks that knew you from your little bit of acting career, Saved by the Bell, the college years, and obviously I got to watch you as a kid, on the off, I loved watching you, and I tell you, those '80s teams, and this to this day, people relish. Like, we now have a good team, but they always look back. That is the last time the Browns were good. They always say, the glory years of the '80s. Tell everybody what you've done, out of football, and what you're doing now.
Oh, since I finished football, I just sit around the house and moan and whine that I can't do anything anymore. I want to hit somebody. So I got a really big dog, and he can defend himself. No, I'm kidding. Well, I did the Saved by the Bell the college years. I did episode of Coach, did Saved by the Bell the college years, a couple other sitcoms. I actually auditioned for a movie, or it was going to be a news show, and the name of the description of the lead character was a mid to late 30s NFL player type, like Bob Golic or Lilo Zeta.
Yeah.
And I go, well, I got to try out for this.
Sure.
And so I went in and I auditioned, and I didn't get it. So at that point I said, this business is kind of squirrely.
Kind of tough.
Yeah, so I started doing I did like 5 years with NBC, doing NFL games. I actually, at one point, CNN and Sports Illustrated came together and they did CNN SI.
Right, I remember that. Yeah.
And I was doing, for 2 seasons, I was doing their pre-game, Howie and Terry and those guys, except we didn't have the rights to all the game film. So we just had shots of guys like walking around in the locker room in their underwear and, practicing. So it was pretty bad. It was destined not to work. And then I got into radio. Did some syndicated radio with Sports Fan Radio Network. Then Fox started radio, and me and Chris Myers were the first pair that got a show there. So we did that for a bunch of years. And
isn't it kind of crazy? Fox was kind of the outlier back in the day when it came to networks, and now they have become such a dominant force in the sports space. Not only with NFL football, as you know, that first game against the Browns and Cowboys will be right here in town with Tom Brady getting his first job as an announcer. For that audience, you played in the '80s. What do you think of the current team, and where do you think they're going? And obviously, we just saw Andrew Barry and Kevin Stefanski got extension.
Right.
We actually have a coach that's going to be here for a while, and it was a rotating door every 2 years, new coach, new GM. What do you feel about the future of the Browns and where they're heading?
Well, they seem like they've got it pointed in the right direction as far as, or they made a decision with what kind of offense they're going to run. Obviously with Jameis Winston, Deshaun Watson, and you're all getting similar types of quarterbacks, so you don't have to bring somebody in with like Joe Flacco, who you basically have to kind of give the original, the more base offense.
Right.
But unfortunately, I think he did such a good job. I would love to see him stick around until we knew everybody was healthy and ready to go. Yeah. He was a hell of a guy, hell of a player. Defensively, there's so many new guys. defensive, they say the defensive tackles are big and strong, and
Right.
I stood next to some of these guys, and I feel like if I don't feel as big and strong, let's put it that way. And,
Well, I always joke, if you look at Joe Thomas now, right, he is not even the size he was, you know, and you know,
Yeah.
as he works out now, and you look at him now, he's not his playing weight, and you know,
Yeah.
you can't really keep that up, you know,
Yeah.
out of football.
he's gonna have to. He's so skinny now. He's gonna have to start drinking more beer, so he has a beer belly when he's fishing,
Right.
because he just doesn't look the part right now.
Right. So I'm gonna get you out on this one. I've asked all of your friends that you played with.
Mhm.
What was your greatest moment during your playing years that stood out to you? That moment that when you look back is like, that was my favorite moment when I was playing football.
Anywhere in my life,
Anywhere in your professional NFL career, what was your favorite moment?
NFL career, probably running onto the Browns field the first time. I had been drafted by the Patriots, and I was
Right.
there going into the fourth season. They cut me. Browns picked me up, and they said, "Hey, linebacker, you want to play nose tackle?" And I was like, "No, not really." They say, "Well, we claimed you off of waivers." And I said, "Okay, as long as you're paying the contract, so I like it." So I went and did it. But walking out in the field for the first time was amazing.
Right.
I mean, I had been to games since '64. I remember going to a game with the Browns versus the Cowboys with my dad, and sitting. We'd only watch half the game because of the posts being in the way. It was classic.
Right. It's like
But,
you kind of had to go around like this to watch the game.
Yeah, but I mean, so many things. I just remember that was just the feeling of walking out, it being my hometown. You know, it kind of made it feel kind of like college. You know, college, you have this whole, everybody's all together, everybody's fans, the school's all behind you. And that's kind of what it felt like for me. I mean, this was my home, this is where I was born and raised, this is where I went to high school, and now I'm back and part of it.
Yeah, you know, when I talk to the other guys like Hanford and Kevin Mack and these guys, you know, Felix Wright, they didn't grow up here.
Yeah.
And you know, you have a different perspective, but they stayed here. And I think this community is so rich and so welcoming to any Browns player that played. And you just know this because you lived here. But they've made this their home, and they felt so welcome after football that they decided to stay here. They didn't go back home, you know.
Yeah.
And so it's interesting how many players have actually stayed. And now I
Yeah.
even see Joe Hayden coming back
Yep.
and spending a lot of time here because he knows the fans just embrace him and they love him. So
Well, I've heard a couple of guys stayed because they still owe people money, but that's a whole different. That's a whole
well,
different
that
thing.
could be a case
Oh,
too.
you
Yeah.
can cut that out, right?
No, that could be true, right?
Yeah. But yeah, it was always amazing to watch these guys when we got done. And every time I saw Hanford go on some appearance somewhere and sign autographs, and I'd go, "Why don't you get the hell out of here, Hanford? You don't live here. This is my town." But they stuck around.
Yeah.
Him and Felix and
Kevin and all those guys.
Kevin, all those guys.
Yeah. And so, but again, I just think the community, and you know, the old municipal was a very special place,
Yeah.
and it is that will forever be in the minds of a lot of us Browns fans. But Bob, congratulations on
Thank
being
you.
inducted
Thank you
this
very
year,
much.
and thank you for doing the interview today.
Anytime.
Go Browns!
All right. Go Browns.